Hi, What the Thunder Said, Part 24. We think of the key, each in his prison. So in Star Law of the Ages, it said something about a Laconian key, and somebody called Aratos, never met them, wrote, "Not many are the stars nor thickly set that ranged in line mark her whole figure out, but like a key that forces back the bolts," and we had lightning bolts earlier, "which kept the double door secured within, so shaped her stars you singly trace along." And we're talking about Cassiopeia. And in that section, they were also equating the leg with Cassiopeia in Egyptian myth from the Book of the Dead. And interestingly, ages ago, I had a dream about jumping over a leg. I'm not sure if I talked about that before. That was to try and get someone to notice me. That's mad, isn't it? So in one of the chapters, chapter whereby one saileth a ship in the netherworld, oh thou leg in the northern sky, and in that most conspicuous but inaccessible stream, I rise up and come to light as a god. I am conspicuous but inaccessible. I rise up and live and bring myself to light as a god. So more references to sailing ships associated there with the leg Cassiopeia, which may or may not link to the key. The Golden Bow says the key is equivalent to the old man, the embodiment of the corn spirit. Also links with Newt as a crossroads or a turn in the road, like earlier when he was talking about turning the key. And a link to Mrs. Porter, the door. He says we think of the key. Previously, when he said think, he means something to do with intuition. So likely the opposite of think, feel. We're feeling up the key. Be careful. So then prison or jail is a homophone with the biblical character, Yael, jail, which means an ibex. So we've got another kid. She was the wife of Heber, the Kenite, and she welcomed Sisera into her tent at night. Apparently her husband was in another tent. That doesn't make any sense. Unless one of them snored, I guess. He asked for water, she gave him milk, because you get what you're given. She took a mallet and drove a tent peg through his temple while he was sleeping. And she was immortalised in the Song of Deborah, the hippo, who feels like she needs to go on a diet. So allegorically, this is similar to the feeding of the newborn son with milk. The tent peg, Vav, is the sixth letter of the alphabet, symbolic of the connection between heaven and earth as it holds down the tabernacle tent. So what did she actually do to him? Read him some poetry? Another version of the story says she had sex with him 7 times in order to exhaust him, and that was forgivable. How she didn't wake up her husband, I don't know. Interesting that it references number 7 again. And then this made me laugh. As he was dying, he said, "Behold, pain has taken hold of me, Jael, and I die like a woman." But that itself is reminiscent of this Tiresias, I think it was, this idea of changing between male and female. I think actually links to this idea of maybe even ego death, and that pain is something to do with having sex 7 times, I would imagine. This story about Jael is also mentioned in Chaucer's Canterbury Tale, the Wife of Bath's prologue, the Book of Wicked Wives. I'd be in there if I was married. Thought it could also link to Princetown and or the prison. Have a little bit more.